All right, all right, all right. We're getting this started here. It's impromptu space. First, just need an audio check. Audio check. If anyone's hearing any background noise or something, just kind of if the audio is good, give me a thumbs up. If it's not good, I guess thumbs down. I guess thumbs down. I'm trying to make sure there's no background noise going on here. All right, we're good. We're good. Shout out to Marcus. I'm getting things set up on a different screen here. And we're gonna talk. It's kind of time for a conversation. Kind of time for a conversation. I've been, I guess, what's the best way to say it? Like not totally quiet, but I've been, just seeing how information unfolds. We're going to do a short history lesson, and then we're going to address some new comments from Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi. They got a lot of people talking. So interesting times because it's a lot of, what do you call it? Like, I see a lot of emotion on the timelines. And, I've been doing this for several years at this point. And so you kind of see just the different trends of how people feeling with the Snyder fandom, with what's going on right now with James Gunn's Superman. And overall, a lot of emotion. So let's start at the top. I'm gonna put there's a couple of tweets that people put out there, and at the end of the day, it's not about people that personally can reach out to me and talk. Y'all already know what time it is. Those that really don't mess with me, then I don't know. I guess you're gonna catch some strays. But the real will recognize the real and what we're going to talk about today. But I'm trying to find this tweet because I'm going to put it up here because a lot of people are talking about DeLuca's comments. Here we go. About Superman. All right, so let's see if that comes forward in the big screen here. See, I did it from my computer. I don't know if it's coming across on the space. I don't see it. First L. There we go. Okay. A little delay. We'll revoke that L. But so I'm gonna go through again just a few things that were said, and then we'll open it up if people got a few words, or even if people want to refute what I'm saying. Again, I was there in real time, so I can fully explain what happened with that situation. But yeah, I wouldn't mind any feedback if people got something to say. So this is what the Spaces is for here, is to actually dictate and talk, not hide behind 120 plus characters or memes. You actually got to explain. If you got some conspiracies, you actually have to dictate it out loud, because it may not make sense once you say some of the stuff out loud that people are saying. But so this first tweet here, as far as with DeLuca, people are highlighting that he's saying that we hired James Gunn in secret to start his Superman script. So Gunn started the script before he was actually hired as co-head at DC Studios. And most people knew this. Most people knew this. There were different quotes out there before as well. It was a collective decision. It was DeLuca, Abdi, ultimately Zaslav. And people acting like this was breaking news. Now, I did a stream last night, State of the Fandom, talked about a lot of this last night, but we're gonna hit it on Twitter today. So the first thing, was it true that Gunn was secretly writing the script before he was hired? So that's what we're gonna address for after I get some water. All right. So the sequence of events. This was 2022. I was probably doing streams every other day talking about this situation. So it's still kind of clear in my mind, but also I have videos to, and the sources, the articles and stuff. All this stuff is still readily available. So no conspiracy talk can erase that, right? So after DeLuca and Abdi was hired, it was the summer of 2022. So I would say like July. Towards the end of that month, it was said that DeLuca and Abdi were basically running. I mean, obviously there was the heads of Warner Brothers, and they were acting heads of DC Studios at that time. So across the board, they were dealing with everything. Now, what people got to understand, under Warner Brothers, that's obviously Warner Brothers Films. There's also New Line Cinema, which has, they delegate other people over New Line Cinema. But at that time, DeLuca and Abdi was running all the studios. So the plan was for, someone to eventually take over, like someone took over New Line, Animation, and DC Studios. So just to make it clear, they were running everything. So at that time, they were jumping in there with all the films, and we'll just highlight DC. They were trying to fix the Aquaman film. There was a whole article I covered on that back then, that they were jumping in. It was going to be reshoots. I was told that beforehand, so I put that story out there, and then that was confirmed. So I was like, okay, massive reshoots, Aquaman. What's going on with this film? And then that same week, I got the story that really, in a sense, put my channel on the map. I mean, because up to that time, being a Snyder fan and then starting things with Mikey Sutton, that brought my channel to a certain level. Then when I got the Ben Affleck scoop that he would be an Aquaman, that took all my platforms to another level, because that was just a huge, huge story. That was DeLuca and Abdi putting Ben Affleck in the Aquaman film. And then obviously that was confirmed within like 24 hours. You got the pictures, Ben Affleck in there. And then at that same time, I was told, really confirming what Mikey Sutton said before, that Cavill would be in the Black Adam film in the post-credit. And I was told basically the actual scene. But shortly after that, towards the end of the summer, I was told Cavill was going to be put in the Flash film. And I got a lot of pushback from some of y'all favorite scoopers. A lot of pushback with like, oh, there's no way they'll put Cavill in there, or, this is supposed to be a reboot. But I was like, no, just like Ben being put in the Aquaman film to signal a potential team up. That was what Ben's scene was going to be. He was basically coming to recruit Aquaman. So it wasn't going to be like a real Batman sequence. It was definitely Ben Affleck after the Aquaman adventure saying, hey, we're teaming up. So after that was said, then with Cavill, I was still with the Flash film. Cavill was being put in there to, again, signal a potential team up of the Justice League after the Flash film. And it was going to be, they were kind of going with the Flashpoint reboot, meaning, but including Cavill and Ben Affleck. And then they were still going to keep Michael Keaton, and Supergirl, Sasha Calle. So that was like that's what DeLuca and Abby was saying. Let's, in a sense, have Michael Keaton time displaced. Because then another story came out around that time. They were writing a Batman Beyond film. See, that's what it's like. People got revisionist history. Like, all this stuff was said in these videos. So you can't take a quote from DeLuca today that you already knew was true anyway, but act like it's breaking news and then erase what actually happened. That's not what we're going to do. Now, let me put up the next tweet that I'm talking about, because the ramifications, people are trying to say, well, they never was going to do the last ride of the Snyderverse. But I just explained to you that literally the plans and all that has been confirmed. And I'm going to tell you why I'm bringing this up. I'm going to put the next tweet in the big screen here. It'll pop up in a minute, but okay. So what DeLuca said, as far as I said in this tweet here, both things can be true. Because it actually was true that they had James Gunn. DeLuca says in his own words, he was secretly writing a script. I mean, it's his words. And then also in my tweet, I showed Stephen Knight was writing the Man of Steel 2 script. So just simple logic, it was happening at the same time. So what's the inciting event? People want to brush this aside because they don't like probably the answers they get from it. that's part of it. A beard watch, like Marcus. I'll put that on the big screen too. People forget. By DeLuca's own words and by the articles I just posted up here, they were writing a Man of Steel 2 script, and James Gunn was writing his Superman script at the same time. Now, we could talk about, was it a good choice or not? See, that's the thing. That's the difference between me and a lot of people. Y'all will base things off of, well, was it a good decision? Do I agree with the decision? I really don't care. I'm here to present the facts. You decide if you agree with it or not, but you're not going to change history. That's what we're not going to do. So, what was the inciting event? We come back to it again, the Black Adam performance. And this is what a lot of people disagree with. There's some Snyder accounts still upset with me around that time because I was like, yo, we need to support the Black Adam because he's bringing back Henry Cavill. They're writing the Man of Steel 2 script. They're putting him in the Flash film. So I was like, yeah, this is, I made no mistakes about it. We should be supporting that. And then again, you had a lot of, I guess, Snyder accounts, some anonymous. Was like, oh, that's Justice Cavill. He's not the real Superman. He's compromised. But then after Cavill showed up in Black Adam, he did that interview with Josh Horowitz. I got a video on that as well, where he's like, I'm back as Superman. Cavill was saying this. And the one person that sent a video to him congratulating him was Zack Snyder. So if his Superman, if Zack considered Henry Cavill Superman compromising Black Adam and that it was all just a ruse, That's what I'm saying. Sometimes people gotta say these conspiracies out loud, and then it doesn't make sense anymore. You know, people can hide behind again letters and tweets and posts and memes, but when you actually got to say it out loud, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. So Zack Snyder approved of what Cavill was doing in the Black Adam film and eventually in the Flash film. And we all thought Cavill was getting a Superman film. But you leave it up to people today in their emotions, they're trying to say, oh, no, Cavill was fooled. Zack Snyder was fooled. Stephen Knight writing the script for Man of Steel 2 was fooled. Their agencies. This doesn't make sense, right? So obviously, there were plans to have more Cavill, but again, that Inciting event was a Black Adam performance, and we know what Black Adam did. What, less than 400 million? So yeah, that didn't bode well for the future of what The Rock was trying to do. $7 production. They were off again, on again, representing Cavill as well. That didn't bode well. I mean, that's obvious. But you had someone tweet out like, "Oh, they used Cavill. They used him." When it's time to request, I'll let you know. Right now is not the time. So I'll let you know after I go through what I'm saying. Then I will invite other speakers up. That's not the time to request. Well, and actually, I guess you can put your request in. I'm just not going to pull you up right now. I guess that's what I'll say. I'll let you know, though. But so the performance of Black Adam. So that's what people get caught up on saying, oh, well, that makes no sense. Why would Henry Cavill's future be dependent on the performance of Black Adam? Because it was part of that entire package plan. The $7 plan was he has to launch Black Adam and the JSA, and The Rock made it clear he wanted his Superman in that world to be Henry Cavill. It looked like Zack Snyder approved of that, but again, it was all contingent on Black Adam performing. Obviously, it didn't. Most people that I guess rejected Black Adam, it was mostly on the performance of The Rock. Actually, a lot that just didn't. I like the film, obviously, but that didn't resonate with a lot of people. So, obviously, Cavill's cameo, wasn't going to sell the film because they was trying to keep that a secret. I always figured they should have put Superman in the third act and just had a moment where he just shows up, just like an in-game moment, so you could put that in the trailer and sell the film that way. But anyway, that didn't sell. A lot of people, again, did not support Black Adam for those reasons. And so, yes, that meant the Black Adam plan was not going to go forward with Warner Brothers. Right after that opening weekend, which I think only made like 60 million and was projected for like a 60% plus drop second week, they was like, okay, it's time to pivot. And this is mostly from Zaslav saying, okay, we're going to go with that backup plan. Because again, at the same time, Gunn was writing the script, just like Stephen Knight was writing the script for Man of Steel 2. Someone else was writing the script for the Flash sequel, which was going to be a team-up film. Same time, Patty Jenkins was writing Wonder Woman 3. So all these things was being written at the same time. People act like this is some anomaly or saying that Luca and Abby was, I don't know, I guess people think they were lying now. I was at Full Circle a couple of years ago. Zack and Deborah Snyder said on camera and off camera, were praising DeLuca and Abdi for making full circle possible. But you leave it up to accounts today who they're saying they're Snyder fans. They don't even care the words of Zack Snyder himself. Is what it sounds like. So the question is, who are they really riding for then? If it's not for Zack Snyder's wishes, what are a lot of these accounts doing? Again, it's one thing to say, oh, they shouldn't have put Cavill's future contingent on Black Adam. I agree. That's a conversation we could have. But to act like all this was made up leading up to Black Adam is disingenuous. And just frankly, in the time of Google, is lazy because you can just look this stuff up yourself. So I think that's clear, the timeline that I'm saying. And what changed, again, was Black Adam not performing. So let me highlight something else. And then, like I said, we'll get, I'm looking forward to feedback. If anyone got something to say, I do look forward to it. I'll accept some requests in a little bit. And this is where we get to kind of like the personal part. Because what I laid out to you is just simple information that you can verify for yourself if you're serious about it. There's a lot of people that stuck on, again, with Black Adam, was that going to, let's say Black Adam succeeded. You know, some saying, oh, it's going to be some kind of justice verse. Again, you have the article there. Man of Steel 2 is being written. Zack Snyder showed his words of support directly to Cavill when Cavill announced that he was back. So we can conclude Zack Snyder likely would have had something to do with it. He would have had at least producer power because that's his Superman. And then it came out in one of the tweets I put up there that DeLuca and Abby wanted to do one last ride of the Snyderverse. Now people want to erase that because you just don't like what DeLuca just said about James Gunn and Superman, that all of a sudden now DeLuca was never going to do the last ride of the Snyderverse. But that's been confirmed. And again, the inciting event, Black Adam, that's what turned a lot of people. That's what killed the chances of that. So again, we can talk about why was Cavill attached to that. That's a different conversation. But again, we're not going to change history with that. Those are my initial thoughts. Go ahead if you do want to request, because I don't want to go too far and then have to double back. If you got something to say, go ahead and put your request in, because I want to hear as far as the angle. Because again, if it's about, oh, I want Warner Bros. To fail, then yeah, that's a whole nother story right there. But again, you're not going to change history. All right, so let's see. We got Damie Ray. Let's get you up here. See what you got to say. Let's see. Unmute your mic. And again, the topic we're talking about is, did DeLuca and Abdi, did they really give Cavill a chance? And expound on what you want to talk about. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Yeah, no, I was just letting you finish what you were saying. So let me ask you questions. I want your opinion on this, right? So you guys keep saying that, well, DeLuca and Advid said this, and and the information is there, right? Is it not possible that executives lie? Because I mean, there's been multiple executives that lie over history. So why are you so sure that they were going to do the right thing?
So your point is saying,
no, I'm
do
asking.
executives lie? I'm answering you, right? You just asked the question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in saying can executives lie, you're taking what he just said face value, what DeLuca just said, that, oh, we secretly hired James Gunn. So that kind of goes both ways. But my point is that all lined up to they were bringing Ben back, they were bringing Henry back, and we have evidence of that. Now, do you think that was a lie, that Ben was going to be an Aquaman?
I mean, no, the scenes were filmed. I mean, we don't have to lie about it. I mean,
You what?
the scenes were filmed. I mean, that's not really
Okay.
debatable.
Right. So what you're saying, were they going to do the right thing? They were bringing Henry and Ben back. Is that correct?
So, but you're making it seem like Zach was for sure coming back, even if he approved. Like, Zach can approve something. Zach approved of '84, and I mean, he had nothing to do with it. So I'm all like Zach can approve something. But I just wasn't sure if they were ever going to bring Zach back, and I think that's an argument that like could they've done a Snyderverse light, okay, but would they have brought him back? I think that's the important question because you can
So
still
that's
use the cast
a
without
whole
Zach. I mean,
separate
that's
that's a whole separate question now, right? So we're talking about Cavill and Ben, one last ride of the Snyderverse. Now we can specifically talk about Zack Snyder if that's what we want to do. So now your question. So we're moving away from because I'm going off of what I'm seeing on the timeline. People saying it wasn't true. Cavill was going to do Men of Steel 2. That I've proven that. And as far as Ben coming back, that's proven. So there's no more confusion with that, though, right? Because we can go to the Zach part of this. But I just want to make sure if I was clear with that.
oh, I think Man of Steel is still going to happen. Like I think Wonder Woman 3 would have happened. I mean, even Gal said that at some point. So I don't think the movies are like that. That's not. I'm not going to debate that with you. I have nothing to say. No, it wasn't going to happen. I think it's kind of nasty, like you said, but beyond that, no, I don't have nothing to say about that.
Okay, so let's get to the Zack Snyder part then, because this is what I wish people would have been putting in their tweets today, because it all went back to Black Adam and he wasn't really going to do
And
it and
FYI, I
stuff like
supported Black
that.
Adam,
And
by the way. I saw
so
it 4 times.
so that's great. That's great. So my thing is that should have never been a debate. I saw someone again say, "Oh, they use Cavill and things like that." It's like, okay, so we're past that. So let's go to the Zack Snyder part. So just so I make sure I'm addressing what you're saying, despite them bringing Ben back, Henry back, potentially that didn't mean Zach was coming back, right? I just want to make sure I'm addressing that properly.
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing I said as far as with Zack Snyder is when Henry Cavill announced that he was back, he did the entire interview with Josh Horowitz. It was a whole video interview. It had an audience and everything. And Cavill was like, that's after he said, I'm back, I'm in Black Adam, and everything like that. And so out of everyone, actually only one person sent in a congratulations to Henry Cavill at that interview, and that was Zack Snyder. He basically approved of Cavill coming back. Zack Snyder was tweeting Henry Cavill or posting Henry Cavill pictures on Vero as well. And in that particular video, Zack Snyder said, hey, I can't wait to work with you again. Leading a lot of people to believe, at the very least, Zack Snyder approved of Cavill coming back. Now, how films work is if you create a original character, because we all agree Snyderverse is its own IP, right? That's why a third party keeps saying sell to Snyderverse, right?
Yes, sir.
Zack Snyder created his Snyderverse. That was his version of Henry Cavill. So at the very least, he would have had producing power in Man of Steel 2. That's one thing. And then on one of the tweets I put up there was confirmed that Luca and Abby desired to do one last ride of the Snyderverse. That would have been a team-up film after that. So all that together, yes, I believe Zack Snyder would have been involved in some capacity. Was he guaranteed to direct Men of Steel 2? No, I can't say that. If they were going to do a team-up film, yes, I believe Zack Snyder would have been a director.
So the one thing I will say about this Man of Steel, Zach was never directing Man of Steel 2 either way. I don't know. I think that's getting lost into this debate. I guess like if you look at even the original DCEU slate, that was never happening. A Man of Steel 2 under Zach. So I think that part is important to remember. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I said I don't believe he was going to direct it either. That's what I just said.
No, I'm saying, but that if you even look at the early ones, that was never happening either ways. I'm not, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's kind of redundant. We're both saying the same thing now. I don't believe he was going to direct it. So yeah, because some people, and I'm only saying that because some people brought up, well, was Zach really going to, again, do that film? I'm saying the team up film. I believe Zach was going to do it.
What is team up to you exactly? So just to clarify, so for myself, like what is team up to you exactly? Like a Justice
But
League
we're only
film?
talking about one team, man. We're only talking about one team.
So a
So
Justice League film, yes, is that what
yeah,
you're saying?
yeah, yeah. We're only talking about one team. Like what team? What other team? What other option do you have for a team?
I mean,
Team Titans? Like what? I'm just saying. So Justice League, yeah. I'm not trying to
and
be
you're talking about like
specific.
Justice League, like
Justice League.
ZSJL 2, not like I don't know, just a random Justice League film, or it doesn't matter in that this question, I guess, to you.
Right. Yeah. So Justice League 2, man. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So again, that's what I covered in real time. That's what I reported. Again, seeing the revisionist history saying, and so is this about like, this is what I'm addressing kind of like the listeners. Is this about, defending Warner Brothers and all that? No, my point is I was rocking with Abby and DeLuca because Zach and Debbie said, hey, full circle never would have happened without them. Zack Snyder going back to do the prequel for 300 wouldn't have happened without them. Ice Cube doing The Last Friday. Cube said this, it would not have happened without DeLuca. So all I'm saying is that, these people weren't our enemies. They was actually trying to do One Last Ride of Snyderverse. Now, should they have, again, placed it on Black Adam? Then, yeah, I understand why people's like, okay, you shouldn't have put the fate on that. Now, I agree. That wasn't a good decision. But this is where we are, and now they may be out of a job, by next year. But anything else you want to add with that, man?
No, I'm good. I think it's
All
it.
right. All right. Appreciate you coming up. I'll give anyone else a chance to jump in if you want. Because, again, in my thing, I'm real big on accurate information. That's one thing when I started doing my platform, me and my background, if I would have seriously said something truly not factual with proof and everything, I would have been canceled a long time ago. And maybe a lot of people don't understand that, in the space that I'm in, not truly connected to Hollywood or anything like that, I could easily be snuffed out. And you've seen people, if you've been following my platforms, you see people have tried for the last 5 years. But all my platforms are still here, and I'm covering the stuff how I want to, where I can live by the words that I'm saying. When you put your face out there, that's what you do. You got people that was trying to dox me. I'm still waiting for them to pull up. Like what? Like what are we doing here? Then you got those that again wants to hide behind faceless tweets, anonymous, and memes. See, we're not the same. They're not the same like me. So I chose, to say again, I'm gonna stand by whatever I put out there. And so when people taking DeLuca's comments and trying to turn it into, well, this changes everything, it's the same story. Same story. So let me address one more thing, and then if we don't have any other speakers, we'll zone out. But you're welcome to request if you agree or disagree. It's all good. But the problem is people have these knee-jerk reactions, almost like Warner Brothers. Like, DeLuca said this, so now this means all of this was false. Now, why am I riding so hard for that period of time? Because, yeah, personally, I put stories out there, yes. And then also, too, late, great Mikey Sutton. A lot of people was trying to question him as well. So to erase that, oh, none of this happened, then you're also erasing what he said as well. And I'm, just as long as I'm breathing, I'm not going to allow that. Not going to allow misinformation about any of his reports as well either. And that's, and that's just where the line is I feel was crossed with that. So that's out there. Let's see if there's something else I want to address here, because I just see, again, just wild conspiracies like something was really disproven. And, when given opportunity to actually explain it, I'm not really seeing people explain it. It's just knee-jerk emotion. Now, if this is all about you want James Gunn Superman film to fail, that's a whole different situation here. And I've said this on my videos, and I'll say it here now. No matter what James Gunn Superman film does, whether it fails or succeeds, that's still not going to stop the push for Zack Snyder to do more DC. Because the mistake I think a lot of people are making, and I'm talking Snyder fans, the mistake is you want to restore the Snyderverse, and you think the only way that can happen if Warner Brothers burns. Now, those are two separate things, and you're fine if that's what you want. If you're saying, hey, I want this to fail, rock on. That doesn't hurt my feelings. I know those people on the timeline, all these Superman memes and corn sweat getting beat up and stuff. That's funny. People they take stuff personal. That's why I say I remember the Man of Steel days and the BVS days where this was on Facebook, where people was mad at that depiction of Cavill Superman. So that was straight from the comics, Earth 1 Superman. Now people are saying, well, James Gunn Superman is from All-Star Superman, so you're supposed to like it, right? Well, nah. People can have their opinion. Just like they had their opinions in 2013 and 2016. People can have their opinions now. So I've always said that. This ain't nothing new what's going on with people against Warner Brothers. I was saying in 2022, there was a low-key boycott for Matt Reeves' Batman. I had the same stance I have now, where me, personally, I don't normally just follow the group thinking and mob thinking. I never have. I've said clearly BVS is the greatest CBM film I've ever seen. I would love to see the end of the story, the 5-part arc. Also, too, I've been a DC fan my entire life, and I've enjoyed multiple iterations of DC. So I've always had an open mind about everything. If it's trash, then it gets clowned, like the Shazam 2. Yeah, because it was a DC film, I checked it out. I didn't like it, so we talked about it. See, that's how I move. Now, there's people, again, Snyder fandom, and like I said, let's just keep it a buck. We're just gonna put it out there. There's Snyder fans. It's like this unspoken code. It's an unspoken code, and this is what I learned leading up to Black Adam. Because you got some of these long-standing Snyder accounts, faceless accounts, or whatever, and it was an unwritten code. You wasn't supposed to support Black Adam because that wasn't the real Superman. And there's a handful of accounts now that's been upset with me since those days, because I was openly saying, yo, you should, Cavill's coming back, so let's support that. So just so if people aren't clear, that in a sense, in their mind, that broke that code. Because back then with Mikey Sutton or Rose Gallery, Scoop Center, all these accounts was checking for our information. And as soon as James Gunn got hired, you know, that's where, you know, a lot of people fell off. A lot of probably your favorite Snyder accounts started dissing Mikey Sutton. You know, you just sit back and watch how people move, and it's like, okay. But at that time, oh, definitely. Rose Gallery, that was on the forefront of the fandom. As I call it, it was appointment television or streams every week. All across the Snyder fandom. I was getting emails, messages, everything from everyone. Because we were saying Ben and Henry was coming back, and we had the proof. I mean, that was Restore right there. As I said on my stream just recently, if you look back at the history of the fandom, you know, it starts with Fiona, all right? And then early on, Dave Pena, Chris Wong, then things kind of shifted. Jeff Johns got in the middle of some stuff. If you know, you know. But then it was that Hub account, Release the Snyder Cut Hub account, was holding it down. Peely and the Watchmen. Then the Snyder Cut was announced and released, and then it became about Restore. See, that's when I came in, and Mikey Sutton, Rose Gallery. And we was holding the baton, and then the Black Adam event happens, and James Gunn is hired. And so there's a shift. And so the reason why I speak up on misinformation is that whoever picks up this baton next and lead the fandom, because I believe Zach's going to do DC again. The way that I was reporting and how things was lining up, that chance passed. So now it's got to be a new way or a separate way for Zach to do DC again. So whoever is going to pick up that baton and lead the fandom to Zach getting DC again, it has to be based on facts. That's my point. It's got to be based on facts. It can't be spreading this misinformation that, or just leeching on. Do you know a lot of these scoopers, they, what do you call it? They farm engagement from Snyder fans? Like, do Snyder fans realize that? All these Twitter scoopers was gunning for Mikey Sutton and myself when we were saying Ben and Henry was coming back. I got DMs from Grace Randolph. That was during Clapback Saturday. And we talked about, Grace Randolph came at me about Ben and Henry coming back. But then now, you have some of these same Twitter scoopers, if they want to get some engagement, they say, oh, yeah, restore the Snyderverse. When they was messaging me back in the day, no, Snyderverse is dead. Stop misleading people. And it ain't for me to tell people who to follow, who to retweet, and things like that. That's not the point. It's just on principle. They weren't messing with the fandom. But when they want to get some likes, you know, they fish out their engagement. So when I see misinformation, I gotta address it. Because again, how this fandom moves going forward, I want them to be equipped with the facts. Because no one's going to take the movement seriously if we're just sharing false information. And I'm not saying all information is false, but just let's actually make sure it's true. Like one scooper out there was saying, oh, there's a rift between James Gunn and Matt Reeves. It's like, and because they know that's going to hook certain fandom, that's going to hook some of the Snyder fans, and they're going to run with it. They're doing this on purpose. So, and I explained in my stream last night, the real rift is the Luka, Abdi, and Zazov. That's where the rift is at. As far as Matt Reeves, he got some personal stuff going on. That ain't none of our business, what's going on personally. But there's no way they're going to cancel his film because the shareholders expect a big Batman film every several years, and all the money that comes from marketing and the tie-ins, toy tie-ins, and restaurant chains and everything. So that never made sense. Oh, they're going to cancel Matt Reeves' Batman. Like, come on. And then you attach to it, restore the Snyderverse. It's like, no, bro, keep that separate. Keep calling for more Zack Snyder. Yes. Don't tie it to this other bullshit. Again, that's my stance on that. You know, people will, choose what they want to do. But that's what I was saying. Again, I'll give people another minute. If y'all do want to request to speak, throw your request. I'm going to address, I think it's another tweet I'm going to address. But definitely keep Zack Snyder's name in the conversation. Yes. But just realize if you're going after Warner Brothers, that's not the same message. That's a separate thing. This is a lot of funny memes I'm seeing about James Gunn. So I mean that's funny, but that's not the same mission. Is the point I'm trying to make with that. I'm saying get your jokes off, do whatever you're gonna do. The marketing for James Gunn Superman has been wacky. The tone of the film is clear. So I already know what type of film we're getting. And I heard from people that saw some test screenings and things like that. So, it's probably going to be very warranted, people clowning that Superman. But that's not restoring the Snyderverse. That's separate energy. And people could do both, obviously, yes. But like I said, Zack Snyder, I believe, will do DC again. So let me double check if I missed any tweet I wanted to respond to. And I guess this is what I would say too, because like I said, we're not like on clapback level right now. I don't think, because there's more subliminal messages that people are trying to talk about. When you talk about that Black Adam era and Cavill, everyone got their information from us, from myself and Mikey Sutton. So I do feel some kind of way when people are trying to, smear what actually happened. Because that was our report and everyone got that story from us, and some ran some other direction with it. But we were the originators of that. So that's why I say you're not going to change that history. Not going to allow that. Like I said, I'm still breathing, so I can speak on it. And that's my point with that. So let's see. All right, if we don't have any other requested speakers, I'm going to touch on one more thing, and then we'll start wrapping up. Because I wanted to hear, and maybe if people came in late, the point that I'm bringing out is DeLuca, Abdi. Were they misleading the fandom or not? I'll put up the proof as far as what I talked about. I appreciate Damie coming up, and I think the main thing that people were saying was, even if Black Adam performed well, were they really going to bring Zach back? And I think that's what a lot of people are. And I wish they would have kept that. When you're tweeting out, all these stories were false, and One Last Ride, the Snyderverse was false. That's why I'm kind of like, okay, I feel some kind of way about that, because now you're acting like me or Mikey was putting out fake stories when we wasn't. But if it's about just strictly was Zach going to do ZSJL2, then that's a conversation we could have. We'll leave it at that. As far as around Black Adam, so there's another undercurrent to all this too. Damien, you already You already spoke. You have a different point you want to bring up? Let's see. Let's get Castillo. Let's get Phil first. All right. Again, we're speaking on the Luka and Abdi comments. Were they pulling Cavill and the fandom's leg? Let's see. Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I hear you, bro.
Hold on. So can you hear me?
I can hear you, bro.
I'm just jumping in now, so I was just a little bit about your space. So I just wanted to say something real quick. I don't know if you said this, and if you did, I apologize, but I'll say it either way. Remember, guys, that Zach said to us, Pam and Mike DeLuca and Pam, these are people that are reasonable. He said to us during the time of Full Circle, that these guys were on his side. Now, I understand, and listen, I can be reactionary as well. I'm human. We all are. But I do agree with Sil. Sometimes we got to breathe, just like Denzel says. Breathe. Just breathe. Breathe for a minute. Analyze. Yes, Pam and Mike are under fire now because, Zaslav is trying to scapegoat them with all the flops that they've had lately. And lately, listen, Minecraft looks like it's been a hit. I don't care about Minecraft, whatever. Sinners, that's also another project that's also going to be looks like it's going to be a hit, which is a vampire movie. So I think they're doing what they have to do to survive, because at the end of the day, they got bills to pay. They got a mortgage. They got kids. They got a family to feed. At the end of the day, they're doing their job. And I don't think this is personal or attack on us, the fandom. That's just my opinion. What I do think is that Warner Brothers does need to be taught a lesson once and for all, because as much as we want to restore, sell, release, whatever, we're all tired of the fight. We're all tired of this, and a lot of us want to move on. I get it. I'm tired too. But honestly, if you guys really want Zach back, we got to keep the conversation going. No matter whatever hashtag you want to support, no matter what campaign you want to support. That's just how I see it. That's my 2 cents on it, Sil.
Well, great, good stuff, Phil. Appreciate you, Phil. Castillo way and with the legal geeks. I had a good time on their podcast the other day, and definitely support Lethal Geeks and all the videos with my face on it. I appreciate it. And then, but definitely, he raised a good point as far as there's a separate. There's two different things going on, and that's why I'm glad Phil brought that up. I'm glad that landed. Is that wanting Zach to do more DC is one thing. Wanting Warner Bros. to fail is a separate battle, and you're free. You're free to have that battle. Obviously, I'm not here to dictate what people should talk about. I'm sorry if I double muted you, Phil. But if you want to chime back in, you're welcome. But I'm not saying, oh, you shouldn't talk bad on Warner Bros. Sylabdul's a shield now, right? He's defending Warner Brothers. No, just like what Phil said. I was told directly from Zach and Debbie to my face that they rock with DeLuca and Abdi. So I walked away from Full Circle saying, oh, yeah, no, these people, these not your enemies. Now, did Zaza pull something on them where like, hey, you got to hire James Gunn Safran? I'm pretty sure Safran was with Zaza searching for the new DC head. Safran was a part of that search. And all of a sudden, Safran gets the job. Now, what we hearing now, if DeLuca and Abdi are out next summer, Safran will get the job. So you see what's going on with that entire situation. But again, that's a different fight. Like Phil said, Warner Brothers has to be taught a lesson. Hey, rock on, right? If that's the energy that people want to put into, great. That's not going to bring Zach back. That's just a whole different battle. And you're welcome to do both, but it's not one and the same is the point. Phil, do you have anything else to say with that, man?
Yeah, like you said, that's two different battles. Like we all want closure, and some want to take the fight to Warner Brothers, and that will be something might be announced in due time. But that's two separate things. So I just wanted to say that Pam and Mike, they're not our enemies. Are they in a corner now? Absolutely, because at the end of the day, like I said, we all get emotional on this because yes, DC is this is personal to a lot of us. This is our fucking religion. And if they're in a corner now and they have to talk nice about gun, then hey, it is what it is. I'm not gonna trash them. But if you guys wanna go after Warner Brothers, I'm not gonna stop you. Hell, I might even join you. Do I want to restore or sell? I want Zach back no matter what. I don't care. Either Warner Brother does it or Netflix picks it up or a third party. I don't care. I just want closure. And I think we all do. So all I say is, guys, just keep up the fight. Keep the conversation going. And guys, please, July 11th, we need to unite. If you guys want to watch Superman, go watch it. That's fine. I'm not going to watch it. I was going to give it a chance, but after all the BS that's been happening, I'm not going to give it a chance. And you guys can see in my platform that I said I was going to give it a chance, and that I'm retracting that now because I'm not going to anymore. But if you guys, like Sil said, if he's a DC guy and he wants to go see it because he wants to review it or he wants to check it out just to see what it is, go ahead. Absolutely. But don't be trashing people or attacking them because, you're going to watch it. You shouldn't watch it. It's your choice. It's your choice if you want to watch it or not. So that's all I have to say, Still. Thanks for letting me speak for a minute. And yeah, man, I had fun with you on the other day on the
For
with the
sure,
geeks.
man. We're gonna connect again. Hey, we're gonna connect again after this film comes out. Now, Phil, I gotta see what the lethal geeks gotta say when Superman comes out. All
Well,
right.
no, listen. I'll say this because I'm not going to say who I had this conversation with yesterday, but he is a YouTuber also. He said, but what happens if Superman is a hit? Then it's a hit. And if it fails, it fails. That still doesn't change the fact that we want Zach to finish his story. I want to make that abundantly clear. If Superman succeeds, fine. It succeeds. If it fails, even better. But I still want Zach to finish his story. That is not going to change. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks, Phil. I got
All
to run.
right. Good stuff, Phil. Good stuff. Again, Lethal Geeks doing their thing over there. If you haven't checked out their platform yet, I've seen them, rise up. They were just viewers at first. Now they're doing their style, and a good mix over there. Definitely. So cool stuff there. Again, we're talking about the Luca Abdi, the Cavill situation, Black Adam. We got Damien back. Let me see. Hold on. Let's get you back in here. Let's see. All right, do your thing, man.
Hello.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Just I have two things I wanted to ask you. The topic of Black Adam, right? I know it obviously didn't do well to warrant the DCU continuing and let's say the Snyderverse. My question to you is: are we in this? Is this conversation still happening if Black Adam was released in China? And that's just a question to you per se.
Well, as far as with the Black Adam China situation, like
I
it
know
would have
why,
only
by the way.
gotten. What is that?
No, sorry, I know why it wasn't released, but I'm just saying, are we in this predicament if it was released in China?
Right. So if it was released in China, it probably wouldn't have made more than 100 million, and that's probably on the high end. Black Adam ended up making less than 400. 450, 475 box office still wouldn't have moved the needle as far as what they were trying to do, launching the Black Adam universe. So just to answer that question, I guess as simply as possible, No, even if it was in China, I don't see it making because people are confusing Aquaman getting 300 million from China. BVS, I think, got nearly 200. They're confusing that with that. That's what all DC films did in China. And that's just not true. Those were the outliers, actually. Now China is really responsible for about 10% of the blockbuster films now globally. But
I think the issue of Black
as far as
Adam.
with 2022, I think, like I said, the high end would have been 100. Go ahead, man.
I was saying, I think the issue with Black Adam is, if you remember, it was what was released around. I think that was more of a bigger issue. And it's the same thing with even like say Shazam 1. And I'm pretty sure that was I want to say Saffron for someone. Not, well, I know Saffron didn't produce it, but I remember Shazam had that issue, and even Black Adam, they were releasing it around times where other like films were coming out, and it didn't give it much, I guess, room for it to make more money. I feel like, because correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't I thought Black Adam could have came out like more like during the holiday time, if I remember correctly, because there was a window for that, and I think they did Super Pets instead, right? If I remember correctly, if you
So
can.
Black Adam came out in October.
And when did Super Pets come out? I don't remember that
It was
one.
earlier. It was earlier in the year.
Yeah, because I remember thinking to myself this should have came out like later in the year, maybe. But anyway, yeah, that was just a question. And then
Mhm.
the second question I wanted to ask you is, you've said this a couple times in the space and on your YouTube, that if Warner Brothers fails, it won't bring Zach back. But isn't there a scenario? And this is like a hypothetical, right? Obviously, I don't really like doing these, but but if we're gonna be like, well, if it fails, that's another hypothetical, right? Why couldn't Zach come back under new blood and maybe they'd be like, oh, let's just finish it? Because I mean, there's clear. I'm not saying it's like Warner Bros. Before, but there's clearly they're trying to go in a different direction in terms of what they want DC to be. So why couldn't another company, hey, let's say, let's bring Zach back? And that's really the question.
Okay, so as far as I will make sure I got your question right. Why couldn't you say Warner Brothers bring Zach back, or what are you saying?
Well, because you said that Warner Brothers failing and pretty much getting like, I don't know. Because for me, when I hear like what he said, they need to be taught a lesson. I do agree, by the way. But for me, when I interpret that is like, well, they're sold to another company, or they do another merger, or DC sold, whatever scenario you want to put up in your head. Why couldn't someone else bring Zach? Because clearly they're not interested in doing that right now, at least at this current state, obviously, because they're trying to give James Gunn his time to shine and see what happens.
Yeah. So let me address first as far as the Warner Brothers side of this. Like, why did they even just decide to do a reboot to begin with? Well, it was turning the page from former regimes. That was actually a risk that DeLuca and Abby was taking, trying to bring Ben back, bring Henry back. And so obviously when Black Adam didn't work, then Zaslav panicked, and it's like, okay, let's go ahead and wipe the slate clean. Because when you do a reboot, again, this is the business side of it. When you do a reboot, you're not just getting rid of the actors and the directors, you're getting rid of all the producers, everyone that's tied into the former, entities of these characters. So Zaslav was like, I'm going to wipe the slate clean. And anyone else attached with Warner Media or before the Sujihara era and go forward. Now, again, I still feel, I think all of us feel, if he would have just went ahead and did the Cavill just Man of Steel 2 alone, would be doing crazy in the box office right now. But that was their choice. That's what they made. So he's decided to turn the page. So let's say, worst case scenario, Superman does horrible, and then Supergirl does horrible next summer. Then it's been reported, and I've been talking about this, that they will assess the value of DC to see how much is it really worth. Some people think a few billion, some think more higher to 10 billion. But this is all guesses, right? So how do you determine the value of a company? You put it on the stock market. You put it public. And where those shares are going to be at, that's going to determine the value of DC. If another company says, okay, DC is worth 4 billion to 7 billion, I think really MGM went for 8 billion. So I would say DC 10 billion, if they're going to be honest about it. They come in and buy it for 10 billion. Can they bring Zach back? In theory, yes. In theory, yes. You could bring Zach back. It was a time, the story that me and Mikey was talking about since 2021 of Universal, NBC Universal, Comcast was potentially looking to buy Warner Brothers. This was 4 years ago. A lot's changed in 4 years. They actually kicked the tires on if they were going to buy Warner Brothers late last year. And I talked about that because I've been following that story for 4 years. And Comcast passed on it. The version that Warner Bros. Is in right now, they're not going to buy it within the version it's in right now. So the next step, Warner Bros. Is likely going to split or sell in pieces. That's the next play. And we'll see. Whoever gets DC, though, was the question you were saying. That's who's going to determine, obviously, if they're going to bring Zach back. Right now, the best suitors out there is the Saudis because they talked to Zach about buying Warner Brothers. That's Turkey Al-Sheikh. That's the guy with UFC, doing the Brawler film. So we're still a year away from that being a conversation of DC selling. But just in theory, yeah, because you're saying hypothetically, can they decide to bring Zach back? Of course, yes, if they sell.
So the reason why I asked that is because a lot of people, because you're saying, well, Warner Brothers film won't do that, right? But I mean, a lot of people are under the impression, and they believe that Warner Brothers they're not interested in doing Zach's DC. So that's why I'm giving you that hypothetical, because you also said, well, either you believe he's going to do DC again. So, and Warner Brothers currently, I don't know, is the owner of DC. One final question. This is like a more
Well,
broad
let me
of
address
him.
what you said. Let me address what you said before you change. Okay. So, as far as again what I said, Warner Brothers failing. Let me throw this back to you. Do you feel if Warner Brothers, if Superman fails, Supergirl fails, then you're saying you think they will bring Zach back if those fail? That's the question.
Maybe, but but the counterpoint is, don't people already argue that, well, if this universe fails, they're just going to do Batman films? Which, by the way, I don't believe that, but that's the argument people use. Well, they're just going to do Batman films for the next, like, we'll be in the '90s Batman era again, where we just do Batman films.
I'm gonna say now, and this is me saying in my videos and on record. If DC fails, they're going to sell DC. Now, if for somebody to keep DC but it's lose value, that would be silly. But yeah, then you only do Batman movies at that point, because that's a Batman film out is going to make money just off of the merchandising alone. So. But I'm saying if DC fails, then DC will be up for sale, and it's going to be a crapshoot. Where does it end up at? Will they bring Zach back? Those are all open questions.
I mean, if that happens, I mean, Snyder fans should definitely pinch some money in. I mean, I'm man, shit, because I mean, stockholders are the ones that really have the power. I mean, that and investors, obviously, but yeah. So
I agree.
If you want to have
if DC goes on the open market, and I said this as soon as it was confirmed that DC could be for sale in the future, I was like, all Snyder fans should buy up as many stocks as possible of DC. Like, seriously, if we're going to be organized enough with that. But so yeah, I agree with you on that. That Snyder fans could really get active on the stock market. Now you say one last question. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
That's just all. The other stuff is just all wait and see at the end there. We got to see how Superman does. And other films or whatever. I don't really take much stock into, like, because I know you said there's two, like, Lanterns piece. Those are TV shows. That isn't, to me, is going to be the deciding factor. That's going to be Superman, Supergirl, and Clayface. I think Clayface either way is going to make money because of how low the budget is. So it's really, to me, it's Superman and Supergirl. The shows aren't really going to do. It's not going to fix or save Warner Brothers either way. So I don't really take those, in my opinion, in much seriously. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, no. When I say the scenario where DC could be for sale, I'm strictly talking about theatrical. If Superman underperforms, and definitely if Supergirl underperforms, then they have to start talking. Even if Clayface makes $300 million, okay, it'll be a profit, great. But you want the blockbusters, so that's the scenario. The streaming, Zaza. So because maybe you heard what I said before or not, but if Superman underperforms, and when I say underperform, I'm saying 500 or less, or just within the 500 range, I think that's underperforming. I think it has to make 600 or more to look like a success. If that happens, Zaza is saying, well, DC will get by with Peacemaker season on streaming and Lanterns, and this first wave will go on, and then Supergirl will be a determining factor next summer, and that has to perform. So that's the scenario I'm talking about, where streaming comes into it. It's only to get Gunn to next year.
I think with the streaming, they could actually do a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't see Gunn doing this because I've made my point very that clear with you, even on another space we had that you did. Like, he could release some cuts that could help his PR and maybe make a little bit more money on the side. You know what I mean? You know what I'm referring to. There's two main director cuts. Everyone knows what they are. So, if they want to do something like streaming, they could do that. Maybe they could greenlight a mini series with Zach or whatever the case may be. We'll see on that. But yeah, they could do some interesting stuff with streaming. Just to respond
Oh,
to what you just said.
for sure, I agree. And of course, you're talking about Ayer cut and Schumacher cut. Shout out to both of those movements.
Turning event August 5th for both of them, and another anniversary for Schumacher too. But yeah.
Okay, promotion. Okay. So definitely, I support obviously the Schumacher crowd and the Ayer cut. I mean, for the longest. So, the thing people got to realize too, though, again, the business side of this is that, just simply release the Ayer cut, right? Well, okay, it'll be under DC Studios. And then again, it brings in all the other producers. It brings in the conversation when Zach was releasing the Snyder cut. And they said, do we need to do new contracts? Because this feels like a different movie. And Toby Emmerich pushed back on that. Because Zach, if you remember, I know you remember, a lot of Snyder fans remember, Zach wanted to do 4 episodes. He wanted to cut up the Snyder cut and release it weekly like Mandalorian so people could talk about it every week, during that time. And Emmerich and Warner Bros. Was like, nah, we don't want to cut any new contracts. We don't want to pay nobody any new money. So that could be the same conversation with Ayer cut is, according to Will Rowlands, shout out to the Ayer cut, he's saying, no, this feels like a different movie. And so I was told this a year ago, that's what's the holdup is that do they have to recut contracts? And now, not to put this actress down, but Margot Robbie and her Lucky Chat production company was one of the main people that pushed back. Not saying they don't want the Ayer cut. She's just saying, we need to cut a new check, so y'all take that for what y'all will. That's what's been holding up the Ayer cut, though.
So this is actually my last question. You kind of touched on it to some extent. So the Suicide Squad is a Warner Brothers picture film. Same with I don't want to say that for Schumacher. I would have to look that up. What is the Schumacher cut? Is that just a straight Warner Brothers film? I would have to fact check that one. But I know for a fact Suicide Squad is. So my question to you is, if Pam and DeLuca are Warner Brothers executives, but not DC executives, why can't they just release it? Because I keep hearing that, but it's like, well, it's a Warner Brothers picture project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it'll be under the same. Well, if you release the Schumacher cut now, it will be under DC Studios. But
why? That's why. Because it's a
Yeah.
Warner Brothers picture, and it's not a DC Studios film. They had nothing to do with it.
Just like
Or is it because
Ayer cut was made before DC Studios as well, and it will only be released through DC Studios.
so your Pam and DeLuca don't have that power to release it? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, it's not their call. I think Abby just said in this article I touched on last night. She was like, "Oh, we're not in the thick of the DC stuff. Zaslav pushed them out of DC as soon as they hired James Gunn."
So they have no power when it comes to DC projects, even if it is a Warner Brothers picture film. Just to clarify.
No, not at all. The last thing that was kind of under their purview was Joker 2, and we see how that did, right? And that really killed any angle they could have even said about DC, because Joker 2 performed that badly. That's one of the biggest bombs probably ever. Like, seriously. So that was the last thing under their purview. If they would have did Wonder Woman 3, that would have been under their watch as well too. But Gunn and Safran killed that pretty quick. when they got hired. But so yeah, as far as with Ayer cut, and again, this is a point I'm doing in space, and I'll probably do future spaces, just to get the information correct. Because I see some people saying, "Oh, DeLuca and Abby, they're looking to release the Ayer cut." Yeah, that was true in 2022, and Will Rowlands talked about that as well. He was talking with Ayer around that time. That was true. And then what was the inciting event that did a 180? Black Adam, the Black Adam performance. Again, it don't sound fair, I know, to a lot of people when I keep saying that. But I'm saying at that time, DeLuca and Abby was de facto leading DC Studios. And they brought in, again, Cavill to do the Flash scene. And they was going to bring in Ben. So, and at that time, they were talking about the Ayer cut as well. People remember in 2022, I did a video on, there was a untitled DC film that was going to be in theaters in 2023. I had the date. I think it was like September. I forget the date. And that could have likely been the Ayer cut. That untitled film went away as soon as James Gunn and Safran got hired. So just to answer your question again, just DeLuca and Abby, no, it's not their call. And Pam Abby said it publicly now as far as their control over DC.
So I don't know if you remember, but do you remember when David Ayer he had his infamous I'm done with DC, and I was actually one of those guys that was mad at him at the time. Then it took me some time to understand what he was saying. If you remember, he said like he was done, and then there's certain executives who just doesn't want this cut to see the light of day. And whether if you want to believe that's Gunn or not, I think you said it's multiple executives that don't want it to see the light of day. So that's why I don't think it's just a James Gunn thing. Well, I think he could help it come out, but yeah, I mean, in referring to the Ayer cut, obviously, he said that in an article. I don't know if you've seen that, but yeah.
That, just to be clear, yeah, the multiple execs, yeah, that's what I tweeted out, and that's connected to what I was saying. The same issues that the Snyder Cut, the hoops they were trying to go through with releasing the Snyder Cut and the contractual side of it. That's what I mean. That's what I mean with the Margot Robbie and
Oh, so
her.
you think it's not just Warner Brothers? It's not just, but it's actually Margot too, is what you're saying. All right, that was like Warner
It's
Brothers
Warner
specifically.
Brothers. It's Warner Brothers, DC, and yeah, any agencies. It's all contractual. That's what's holding up the Ayer cut.
So if that's the case, I wonder, and I don't think David would do this, but I wonder if he would just release it the way it is. And I know Zach was against it, so I wonder if David would be against that too. Because I mean, according to Will, it's watchable besides the final act too. So
Yeah. I mean, I think Ayer, he said it won't need much to polish it off, if at all. But again, you release as is, it's still just like what Zach was going through. They ended up giving him $60 million to add a scene to the Snyder Cut. If he would have released it as is, he would have finished up the VFX and released it, at that time. But as far as with Ayer, even if he releases it as is, it's still going to be treated as like a separate project. It won't just be like, oh, it's just a director's edition. People are going to want their cuts out of that. Again, that's the business side. I mean, and just low key, back when the Snyder Cut was, going through those contractual issues, getting released with Emmerich, Cavill was like, hey, if I got to come back on set, y'all got to pay me. Y'all have to pay me for this. So I mean, that's a real thing out there.
I mean, what David should do is they ever do greenlight it, I think they will. Obviously, in my head, I think it will be 2026. That's my dream date, and that's most logically, I think it should come out that year. Um, like for the 10-year anniversary. I imagine if David was given like money to finish it, would he be open to actually adding Steppenwolf in there because he didn't make it to the final film, obviously. So I wonder if he would have. He probably wouldn't though, but because I know he
Yeah,
says he wouldn't, but.
Oh yeah, all I've seen, that Ayer said, I think he was like Steppenwolf was cut pretty early. That was an early concept, and it was really cut too early to even put it in the story after the fact. So I don't think he would add that.
But thank you for giving me your opinions and for the insight, if you will.
Appreciate you, man. Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you jumping into spaces, giving your point of view, man. Definitely always open to other opinions or questions with that. That's all good. It's all good. So let's see. Let's see if there's any other tweets that I've been tagged in to see if I need to address it here. Because like I said, again, the revisionist history, that's the main reason why I was like, let me go ahead and just put this on wax so people know, like, we ain't gonna change history here. We can try to change the future, but we ain't gonna change the past here. You know what I'm saying? So let's see. Yeah, I don't think I got any new tweets. I know Superman with James Gunn Superman, they got that life-size Superman doll in India Comic-Con. And like I said, just the marketing of this film, this should be the easiest film to market. Superman. All you need is the symbol. And you could cook with this film. And just James Gunn, you can't blame DeLuca and Abdi. They tried to cut money getting rid of the Barbie marketing guy. And Zaslav tried to throw that on DeLuca and Abdi. Again, that's where Rift is at. But then DeLuca and Abdi clapped back with the Minecraft movie. Sinners is about to come out next week. $90 million budget, tracking to get 80 globally, opening weekend. So that's going to make profit. Also, Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes says 100%. I really don't care about Rotten Tomatoes, but we'll take the victory lap when they give it to us. DeLuca and Abdi are answering back with these films. But again, Zaslav is likely still not going to extend them. So these are just W's they're going to collect. They're restoring these relationships. So whatever studio they go to next, they're going to, people are not going to mind, working with DeLuca and Abdi. Ryan Coogler, according to some of the journalist friends I talked to who saw Sinners already, they're like, Coogler, he's getting to rarefied levels out here as far as a director. Doing an original idea, an original franchise, he's about to make bank, and he's going to start getting blank checks from people, after Sinners. So you got a good relationship with him. That's good for DeLuca and Abdi, going forward overall. So we'll see. But yeah, Superman, that's, like I said, just weird marketing, man. I've never seen them like this before. And so, and people that are saying, they're going to, with Superman, they're just selling James Gunn. This is a James Gunn affair. This is a big part of the marketing. Now, this is what they decided. Superman brand recognition, which, he, as far as just globally visible, Superman is one of those symbols, just like the bat symbol. And with Spider-Man, it works if you have like the symbol with like his suit behind it, then people will recognize Spider-Man everywhere. So you could sell, that should be easy to sell. But they decided, hey, let's also sell James Gunn name recognition. So that's why you're seeing James Gunn in all the pictures and all the videos and talking about Superman overall. So that is what it is with that. Let's see if there's no more requests. Let me see if there's a request to speak. Let me see if there's another tweet I want. I think I touched on everything as far as the history. Let's not get it twisted. Zach and Debbie was rocking with Mike and Pam. So that's just honestly, that's why I'm always going to be like, hey, let's kind of keep it straight as far as what DeLuca and Abdi really was doing. Because I don't like seeing people trying to twist stuff what really happened. And again, the Black Adam issue is that's what really determined the fate of Cavill. Doesn't mean I'm saying that's fair. Doesn't mean that was the right decision. That is what they decided. So interesting stuff. I'm just going to read this tweet here because it's kind of along the lines of what I was saying or what other people are saying, that he says it's kind of stupid to make the decision of canceling a whole universe by believing that a 10-second cameo that not everyone was aware of could boost significantly the box office of a random movie. Let me kind of clarify this. Because I see people, they keep taking this Black Adam cameo like, well, how was Cavill going to sell the film? That wasn't the point. Black Adam, The Rock, was trying to sell, yes, he was trying to sell his universe. And along with it would have been Cavill. And then it would have been that last ride of the Snyderverse. Again, I'm not here to talk about was that the right decision or not. I'm just saying what is, okay? And when they decided to do that, they was keeping the Cavill cameo secret. So they was thinking you was gonna go to see the film for The Rock, and it didn't work that way, right? Like we see, it didn't work that way. And so some people would say, okay, what shouldn't they have just announced Cavill and saying Cavill's in this film and go see Black Adam and promote it that way? I feel they should have, and I'm pretty sure they would have probably had to sign Cavill to a contract or do something to really promote it that way. They chose the route they chose, man. And again, was there pressure from up top? Was it other things involved? Maybe that story maybe will never come out. But it wasn't about, again, Cavill selling the film. They thought The Rock was going to be the draw in a superhero film, and he wasn't for a Black Adam brand. You know, if I'm trying to think, what character could The Rock have played to get people involved? I don't know in this case. He should have been in Shazam. I will say that. I see the request. I'm going to get you up here in just a second. I always felt The Rock, you know, to be a successful businessman, you do got to kind of strong arm and make your own deals. So The Rock didn't want to be hitched onto the saffron train for Shazam. But just in hindsight, I kind of feel The Rock, he should have capitulated somehow because of the lore of Shazam. You know, it's tied to Black Adam. They should have really did that film together or show up in the back half of the Shazam first film and then set up your Superman, because that's a whole story too, where Shazam and Superman versus Black Adam. So it could have all came together, but yes, I agree. The Rock wanted it to be all about him. You know, hey, that's business. That's business. So let's get Sean in here. Engineer, jump on in here and go ahead and do your thing here. And unmute yourself just in case you need it.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I hear you, bro.
All right, thank you. Hey, just bouncing back on what you were saying on the marketing front. It does seem like they have a real bad history with marketing Superman like that. Just thinking about what you were saying, going back to the Justice League movie, like it's obvious that they should have used Superman to tease for that marketing for that movie, but they didn't. They did the same thing with Black Adam, and it was just, I think they lost a lot of the casuals at Comic-Con when The Rock was getting booed. I think that really had a effect on the box office when people were, you know, expecting an announcement, and then that didn't happen. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that Comic-Con. That was what was that, 2022, I believe?
Right before the film came out, yeah.
Yeah, because he went and shot his scene a week after that, Cavill did. So
Yeah.
technically, The Rock was saying, like, hey, you know, I can't say the Superman yet because, like, technically, Cavill didn't shoot a scene yet. But I agree. It was a big letdown to a lot of people that he didn't just embrace Cavill. And it could have been contractual, right? He probably could not say it because of, the state of that cameo. But, I remember that, man. That was that downer for a lot of people.
Like them booing was real letdown, and I think they lost at least 20 to 50% of their first week, probably just from that boo went viral. As far as The Rock's never been booed, and you could see it in his face. He was humiliated. He was like, "We got a problem here," and they did have a problem there. And like literally, they keep doing these, like just like with this doll here you're showing, just bad marketing, bad promotion. Like, come on, like it's no one.
Yeah, the market is wild. Yeah, back then with Black Adam, that was pretty wild. That should have signified to The Rock that I know you wanted to make it all about yourself. I'm the biggest fan of Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Right? People know this if they follow. But the business side of that, you had to know you wasn't going to be enough to carry this to make this film, an event. You needed Superman.
Right.
You needed to confirm Superman, and I'm gonna say if that was an L for The Rock, that was one right there where he didn't pivot.
You had Boss Logic, and you had all this artwork for years leading up, showing a fight between those two for years, the build up, and then so it's like, oh, we're not getting that. That's not here. Well, what's with all the artwork we've been and the teasing? And so literally, that's really on WB again. They should have made that like, you're gonna get that here. Like what are we teasing this for later?
Yeah. So with as far as with marketing with Superman currently, yeah, like I said, this is one of the worst marketing runs I've ever seen, man.
Ever.
With a known character, you know what I mean? Like, imagine messing up marketing Batman. Like, how do you mess that? You can't mess that up, right? And so, what we're seeing with Superman, they're finding a way to undercut Superman.
Look,
It's weird.
last night I showed my pops, my best friend, and my son the trailer, the extended from last week. They had never seen any of these trailers. Did not know, didn't even know a new movie was coming out. Somehow, like they did not even know. Fresh eyes. We're one of the three people is excited to see the film. The other two don't understand why the dog was hurting Superman when they and don't understand why the son like points that like yeah, you see, you notice that too. The sun seemed to bother Superman. Like so these are like, I don't know what they're doing, but we shall see. And what do you think, Sil, the actual acceptable number and unacceptable number is for the box office? Like what is a doomsday scenario?
I'm saying they at least think they're gonna get 500. Like they will spend. If they get 500 million, they will spend and that was all they needed, right? Um, they really want upwards, 550 to 600 to really say, hey, we got the headlines in the tough month of July, we got 600 million. So anything outside under that range of like 550 to 600, then yes, people are going to worry within DC. James Gunn's going to be sweating until the following summer with Supergirl. So yeah, 550 to 600 is my number where they can say like, hey, we made a profit.
We're on the board. One last point is when I look back at the BVS initial run, that first weekend box office was so massive, and they made such a big deal about the second week drop off being a percentage. It couldn't. There was no way for it not to be huge when the initial was so massive to begin with. I never understood why that was like promoted negatively like that. Like this was a huge first week.
Yeah, that was wild. BVS.
What was that?
It had an opening of a 160 domestically, over 400 globally. This is opening weekend.
That's a
right?
massive win.
Now, you compare this to today with Minecraft. Everyone's parading about Minecraft. It made 130 domestic, so it's less than BVS, and 300 globally. So the difference though is that audience score. Minecraft, the audience supported it, so it has legs. Superman, the BBS was just so undermined because the critics didn't like it. Half of the audience that wasn't tuned in, they needed the Ultimate Edition to kind of quell what they thought the problems they had with the film.
Flesh it
So it
out.
was just
Yeah.
totally botched by Warner Brothers.
Again, because those trailers were right. Like when he's doing, he knows how to make trailers. That's why I don't. That's why we know that this is so mid right here. There's nothing compelling. I'm seeing Saturday afternoon cartoon live action from what I'm seeing. And
It's a James Gunn film. Like that sneak peek. If anyone was on the fence of what this film would be, it should be very clear. It's a James Gunn film, so it's gonna have. I said last year, Guardians 3 was the template before they shot the film, and I was telling everyone about this. Not everyone is saying, "Oh, it's like a Guardians film." Yeah, I was told that last year, and so you're getting. It's gonna be some decent action probably in the film, but you're gonna have your James Gunn moments, and are they gonna land with you or not? Are they gonna take you out of the film or not? That's gonna be the question.
look, I'm going to see it, but I'm gonna pay for. I'm really gonna. I'm being a hater. I'm Fantastic Four ticket. Superman. I'll probably go step in there and see it. I'm gonna pay to go. I really. It's a protest watch. I got to see it. I got to see what they did here, but I just it's. And maybe that's a bad attitude. Maybe that's a bad attitude because at the heart I am a huge Superman fan. So maybe I should stop hating, but in reality, it's just, they're so messy at that studio. Like literally, they won't. The way they treat their paying customers is horrible, and so
Yeah.
we're not wanted. It's clear the people who bought this shit six tickets, multiple people. I probably bought like 40 tickets for people to see that BVS movie in the theater. Over the different runs and then the multiple copies on different platforms. It's wild. Like I'm out. Like you're not getting my dollars, and so but they're going to get some new dollars, I guess. But no, I think China might be out though. I don't know if they're going to get any of that China money, but we shall see though.
Yeah, yeah, and with the China thing, and I know you're not bringing it up to be political, but with the China thing is that recently, man, I talked about this on my stream last night, that China used to be a good gauge of, okay, it's not a good percentage of the box office. Example, Aquaman 1, right? It made over $1 billion globally. A third of that was from China, right?
Right.
So, but over the last few years, China has had less and less influence on the box office. I mentioned with Minecraft recently,
Right.
300 million opening weekend. China only gave it 15 million, and Minecraft is already a hit though. So it's like China isn't. That's less than 5%. So
Yeah, well, they're moving the goalpost though on what's a
Moana,
hit though. They're moving the
The Moana 2 sequel and Inside Out 2 sequel both made over $1 billion. China put in less than 10%. So just my point is that China's not going to determine if the Superman film is going to be successful or not. It's going to be on the stage. If we're turned off by it, it's not going to succeed.
Yeah, but here's why I'm telling you the marketing's bad is because my pops is a Superman fan, and it's April. Had no idea there was one coming out. For one, had no idea that Cavill was in Superman still. Had like you know, and so that's wild. I'm like it's April. You missed all the and he is on YouTube. That's all he watches is YouTube, and had no idea. And so it's interesting that they haven't penetrated a portion of the public still like and so I don't know what they need to, if they need to like have more paid spots somewhere or but like he was aware of the Man of Steel trailer like a year before. He saw that a year before at the theaters. He saw the tease, from another movie. So
Yeah, and it probably depends on the demographics as well or the audience because the Superman they lucked out even though it was
Oh,
bad marketing.
Interstellar.
And,
That's
you
what
know,
it was. The Interstellar
just the
marketing.
teaser. Okay, just the teaser trailer because that actually landed well with the general audience. The teaser trailer, but since then the marketing's been terrible. Right, you had the cross-eyed stuff and things like that. But Superman they lucked out being in front of Minecraft, which is the biggest film, but. The example you're saying, that's not your dad's audience. He's not at Minecraft watching the Superman sneak peek, right?
No,
So they
no,
still got more work to do to get adults.
right. And in reality, like that competition is steep. Is it, with the Fantastic Four and the Jurassic Park? I mean, like I'm for sure seeing Jurassic Park, and I mean, I know my kids want to see Fantastic Four. I don't know, like, why did they choose they could have went July 4th or July or June 30th and like been ahead of some of the, like it's weird placement to put it in such a crowded field.
Yeah, I think that's going to be if Superman underperforms. I know most people would say, "Oh, because James Gunn is crap," or whatever. But the biggest thing is the placement. That's going to be the problem with this film because it has 2 weekends. It has to go against Jurassic World, which I'm going on record now. I'm actually saying I think Superman is going to win its first week because I think Jurassic World will drop just enough second weekend, and Superman will come out the gates, a little better than probably we think. And then it will have a second weekend against Smurfs, which I kind of laugh. People saying Smurfs will beat it. I don't believe that. So Superman's going to get 2 good weekends, try to get at least 300 to 400 million globally before Fantastic Four drops. And then you're
Will
going to
it
be slashing the callers.
will it beat Man of Steel first week 125?
No, I don't see this film getting over. If it gets to 100 million, that will be a victory in itself. Man of Steel opening, uh, we said that was 120. Let me double check that.
Think it was 120. But they announced
As far as as
they
far as the
they
overall Man of Steel, no, I don't think. But opening, yeah, 116.
okay.
Man, James Gunn would sell his wife if he can get 116 opening weekend for Superman. Like he would parade like crazy.
One
I don't see it. I
his
don't see
goal is
it.
117. That's
Oh yeah, no. He would throw up. He would name the July 11th. He will declare that James Gunn Day. If he gets if he gets 117, my good, y'all will be so mad at James Gunn out there because he will flex on everyone on Twitter. Like I don't see it happening, but hey, stranger things have happened before.
In fact, won't Stranger Things be out then? I mean, won't I'm wondering what other counter programming will be out in July. To like, Netflix always throws a wrench in Hollywood's plans when they have big movies to counter program to keep people at home.
That's wild. The release date for Stranger Things was season 5.
I
I don't
don't
know if
know.
I have
I
that.
don't know when it is, but I just know that they do that though. They have something a lot of times that they've done that in the past.
I don't see an official date yet, but that would be smart if they drop it in the summer.
We're gonna hate.
I think it may be in the fall, but that'll be funny if they actually do that. But it just the streaming option. I don't know if it has that same thrust it had before though, like when it was doing day and date release and stuff like that. But
Yeah, but people
that would be
are
a flex
broker
though.
out here though. People don't have money to spend $100 2-3 weekends in a row. People are gonna be. I just think that like literally like I used to take the family to the theater twice a month. Not anymore. I haven't gone to the theater since Gladiator 2. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, that's going to be the real thing. I mean, again, people have their personal feelings about James Gunn, Warner Brothers, but if Superman fails, it's literally going to be because it's in July
Right.
between Jurassic World, Fantastic Four. Because I think if it was in June, these low budget films in June, they could easily make 600 million.
Right,
in the month of
or be
June.
smart, come out like like what BVS did. We're coming out in the spring, no competition. We're all alone here. But look,
So
I'm gonna go see Sinners. I'm gonna go support that film. So that's the next movie I'm spending money on. And again, I don't know if my money is gonna go towards this new. The trunks really bother me. They're too high, and the belt position. Just bring it. If they bring it down a half an inch, I'd be happier.
that's wild. Because I think with Superman, this film, all I've heard about the film, it doesn't feel like a summer film. That's the oddest thing with the tone. Again, just what I'm hearing with the film. This should have come out like in spring, or fall. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or winter. Because you see the
Or
forces the whole time. It's
Christmas
a
time.
winter film.
But yeah, look. I think really, there's definitely some. Look, do you think it was they were trying to flex to get everyone else to move? Like we're gonna carve out this space. You guys move. We're taking the spot, and they expected people to move and be like,
That's funny. I'm not sure because like Gunn, he said when they picked the date, he didn't realize that was his dad's birthday. So okay.
his
And
dad's
then
birthday. What?
yeah, July 11th. Yeah, it's his dad's birthday.
Get the
Um,
fuck out of here.
and so then after that, Jurassic World said, okay, we're coming out July 4th week. So they set the date after Superman set their date. So it definitely
This
wasn't the flick they thought it was.
so that has to be a lie. They cannot be basing their fucking summer strategy on this guy's pops. Okay, that is. I could see maybe on Superman Day, something like that makes sense. But what the fuck? What does his? I
Well,
don't
no,
believe that.
Gunn was saying he picked the date and he forgot it was his dad's birthday.
Oh, word.
So then after the fact, he was like, "Oh, this is like serendipitous." And so I was like, "Okay, all right, bro."
All right. Well, hey, I wish them something good. I'm not gonna say good luck, but good. We'll see. You know. So very good luck. Still great talking to you, man. Love
Appreciate you,
everything you
bro.
do, man. You take care.
All right, talk to you soon, man. Appreciate Sean, long-time supporter of Still Nation. Uh, any other requests to speak? Y'all throw it up here. I'm gonna see if there's another tweet I want to address. But again, we're talking about the revisionist history. DeLuca and Abdi, they're not your enemies. But hey, if you hate Warner Brothers, then hey, I'm not gonna get in your way. All right. But and then the Superman marketing has been quite the roller coaster. So interesting stuff. Again, with Minecraft having that big opening, it's holding pretty well for the second weekend. It's looking to be like a 55% drop Friday to Friday, which is really good. And like I said, Warner Brothers got their win with that. They got a win. Sinners, I think everyone is going to watch it off word of mouth, and that is what it is. That is what it is with Minecraft. Let's see. I got a tweet I'm going to address here. Again, if you want to request a speak, this is the time to throw it in there. Because after I address this, I'll go ahead and phase out if there's no more speakers. Let's see. We got a tweet saying again, this is about Black Adam, and this is about just again striking up the conversation because I'm just seeing I saw too many conspiracies on my timeline and in my threads about what really happened in 2022 when I was covering that daily. So it's some time periods you just really can't test me on, and then if I'm seeing misinformation being shared and I know exactly what happened, I'm like, okay, I gotta speak on this a little bit just to make sure we're on the same page. Because people, that's one thing when I was sharing a lot of information then, the antis and haters, for the Snyder fandom, they would try to message me all the time and be like, oh, your viewers, they believe anything, or, they're just thinking like Snyder fans are dumb or can be tricked by any tweet or anything that fits our narrative. We're going to spread it and shout it from the rooftops while they sit back and laugh. And I was like, as far as on my platform, I'm going to make sure they have the proper information, first off, because I can't afford to be wrong just in the space that I'm in and who I am and my background. Like I said earlier, if I'm wrong one time, I would have been canceled. It would have been a wrap. It would have been real easy to get rid of me a long time ago. But my information has been standing, right? Now, other people, they may have different luxuries where they could be wrong and still build their platform. I don't have that luxury. So I took that seriously, giving y'all real information. So 3 years later, if people want to question what was said, I got to speak up. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're on with that. We got a tweet here that's saying, I said it back when Black Adam came out, and I'll say it again, expecting the audience to show up for a 5-second cameo, talking about Cavill, that was leaked online, spoiled prior to the film coming out, was just a brain-dead move on behalf of all those involved. And like I said, hey, as long as we're acknowledging these events happen, for people to say that was a silly plan, a dumb decision, have at it. But again, I'm not going to allow people to erase history, right? Let's see if there's anything else, and then we will phase on out in a moment here. Appreciate all the speakers earlier. If people came in towards the tail end, I'm going to put this up as an audio video on the YouTube channel. So check out the Sylabdul podcast. I don't know if I'm going to run that tonight or tomorrow. We'll see. But we definitely want to have these conversations. And I appreciate those that come up and speak, even if they don't agree totally with what I was saying. But as far as like the why behind it, I don't mind that conversation. But to try to discount or, again, revise history, that's when I have to speak up. So appreciate, again, everyone tuning in, all the speakers that came up. I've been meaning to start scheduling more spaces. So we're going to do that real soon so people will know in advance. But again, just appreciate the support with that. And the conversation continues. But like I said, overall, no matter what you feel with this James Gunn Superman film, feel how you feel, get your jokes off, whatever it is. If you're looking forward to it, great, whatever. It's a separate conversation, keeping Zack Snyder in the conversation. And that's what I don't want people to miss the point or mix up the messaging. So that's all I got. Much love to Syl Nation. Until next time, y'all.